Hey everybody, welcome back to AvPvE. This is session 12, kind of an interlude session as our team gets themselves together. There is an interesting revelation in this one, and they're not quite sure what to make of it, except they know that they've got a lot more to go. Hope you guys enjoy these videos. I enjoy playing the games and I love your comments. Please like and subscribe. I think I'm up to 207 subscribers. I'd love to see if we can get it to 250 here soon. And thanks so much for watching, guys.
Picked up signature of a ship. Let me ask you this outside of the game.
Sure.
Are we using the term engineers and Yautja and all that, or are they still
Um,
not really defined?
No, you know the term Yautja for sure. The term engineer, that you have heard that several times,
Uh-huh.
and you know that this cavern complex that was under the Weyland Yutani facility has something to do with the engineers. So yeah, you don't really have a clear idea of who the engineers are, or what they are, but you have heard the term thrown around a few times.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's yeah. Okay, so I get that. Okay, back into character. Um, my team uh, spotted through our sensors an engineer ship approaching. At that point, we began to make planetfall to assist, which was probably going to be necessary. Um, we were suited up so as not to get contaminated shortly after landing and starting our approach to the complex. We saw a disturbance coming down from orbit. Um, it's something that we've seen before, and we believe it's the Yautja ship. Our team dispersed so as not to provide a convenient target for the Yautja, if that's what it was. Approaching the complex, there was a tractor that was butted up against the main entrance. Before we could formulate any kind of plan, the Yautja, if that's what it was, began working on the uh, the tractor so as to destroy or move it. We engaged the entity. Several of us of my team were lost. The Yautja managed to gain entrance into the facility. We followed along to provide as much assistance as possible. Making our way through the facility, we continued to lose members, um, and I was the only survivor. Now, I'll leave it to the scientific team um, to key you in on exactly what was collected as far as intelligence and samples.
Rose Rose says there is some talk from a handful of survivors. There weren't many, but there was some talk about an unknown C-shaped vessel, and it looks like that vessel black bombed the colony. Is that true?
That is correct. The C-shaped vessel, which we have attributed to the so-called engineers, did come into the atmosphere and dispersed what looked like black goo. It was difficult to ascertain. There was a significant snowstorm occurring on the planet, but it was obvious something was coming down, which prompted us to suit up um, before we began the rescue operation.
Verhoeven speaks up. Did you see any reactions from the goo? Was it because we have we have the data from Alpha Caseo 2 where it seemed that anyone infected by the goo either died or mutated, but there's also we also have your own experience from Anchor Point where the accelerant literally turned people into XX121. Did you encounter either of those?
I'm certain with the amount of material that was being dropped from the engineer ship that that could be occurring on the base. By the time we made it inside the compound, I didn't see any victims external to the complex. However, we did experience, and I think we did this out of game here. Somebody got contaminated, right? It was
Um,
Nobody on our
I can't
Nobody on your
remember.
team got
nope.
Nobody on our
contaminated, no.
right. I didn't think so. There was the okay, yeah.
Well, wait,
So we
didn't
managed to
well
say again.
Vickers got injected, right?
Yeah, but not we're if we're in chronological order, that's
Right. Nobody got. Yeah, I didn't think we didn't see anybody either. Right. So the analog to anchor point didn't occur. The infection wasn't allowed to spread. Probably because of a combination of the snowstorm dispersing the contagion, our wearing pressure suits, as well as a scientific team donning their. You guys donned pressure
yeah.
suits, right? I think you did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody in AV
scientific
did.
team donning, and so we were able to avoid contamination. However, uh, while inside the compound, we did encounter a hostile synthetic, um, and we unfortunately uh, suffered additional casualties once we left the planet um, with a stowaway xenomorph. Uh, as far as what the exploitation team had found, I'll
Um,
let them fill in if you don't have any more questions.
yeah, Verhoeven says, hold on just a moment, and he reaches over to his terminal and kind of leans across his desk, presses a button, and says, Dr. Khan, could you please meet me in my office? And you hear a woman's voice, and you guys have met her before. Responds, and she says, "I'm on my way." He said, I really would like to have Dr. Khan listen in on all this as well." Um, uh, she shows up quickly, probably less than a minute and a half later. Um, Rose says, "Blake or Captain Rudat, the story in the Marine channels, the USCMC channels, is that the colony had been mostly obliterated. Almost three-fourths of it was gone, seemingly from some sort of attack or weapon. But USCMC is quite clear that they didn't use any nukes, and 3WE says all of their ships were disabled in orbit. Also, the way, but do you know what caused that? Did any of you see that?
Well, I didn't see it, but Blake, we had a discussion about that. The ship, I think what you're calling the engineer ship. Uh, Blake, tell him if I'm wrong in your interpretation, but it looked like they jumped to FTL while in the atmosphere and in the planet's gravity well, and that caused a shock wave that started destroying all kinds of stuff. We were inside the facility. We felt the shock wave. Um, we felt the shock wave, and it knocked out all the power. That's when I went to get the reactor back online for the facility so that we'd have some power.
Based on the sequence that I saw approaching the facility, it's more likely that the Algis ship entered FTL, which caused the damage,
Oh,
I
the ouch.
believe.
Okay.
That's interesting. Entering FTL and atmosphere, though. That's well, we'll look further into that. So as you penetrated deeper into, you said you were just trying to stay alive. As you were penetrating deeper into the facility. What you said you got hard drives from their mother system. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we recovered those drives, but then when everything started going really south, and the Yautja came into the facility. We were mostly running for our lives. We went down in the facility and uh,
Verhoeven, his head kind of snaps up a little bit, and he looks at Blake, and he looks at you, Dwayne. Then he looks at Blake and said, "The Yautja came into the facility."
That's correct. And they engaged the I can't. I'm not sure what to call it, but the residents from the sub basement, which included uh, a number of, and I can't remember, what is it, XB117? Is that right?
XX one
No,
two one.
XXX.
XX121, which included XX121, at least two of those, along with something we haven't seen before. We managed to skirt past the skirmish once the Yautja entered the chamber, the final chamber where we were in the sub basement. Uh, their attention quickly turned away from us, and we were caught in crossfire, able to escape, but suffering losses.
So, like Verhoeven and Khan like start to talk at almost the exact same time, and um, with different questions. Of course, Khan stops and says, she defers to Verhoeven. Do I have a picture of Khan here somewhere? I think I do. Pretty sure I have a picture of Katori Khan. Um, I'll find it in a
Really
minute.
long hair and big pecs.
Um, let's see here. But Verhoeven, at your description of the Yautja entering the facility and then additionally making their way down into the sub levels and then losing interest in you guys altogether, that seems to really catch his attention. He says, so they were not. This was not their standard. This was not like a standard hunting mission for them. They weren't hunting and taking trophies.
Well, we didn't
Ne-
hang around long.
negative. Yeah, negative. Their pattern of behavior is inconsistent with the hunting that we have witnessed in the past.
Well,
This looked far more deliberate.
we didn't stop and ask them, Just saying.
That's true.
No, Verhoeven, he nods and says, I think that was probably wise. How many of them were there?
And I'm trying to remember if we saw one or two cloaked.
I, I, I thought there were at least three in the.
The not
Right.
stop.
At least one, possibly up to three individuals.
Yeah, just out of game reminder. Yeah, there were three that
Yeah.
cloaked behind you in the final cavern, and then there was a dead one on your way out.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
so
And so the so they lost interest in us, started taking on these aliens, and they're all aliens to us, but we got the heck out of there, barely got out of there. And by the way, uh, and we hauled butt back to our ship to get out while the getting was good. Before that, we had extracted some kind of urn-looking thing, um, that we brought back to you, and um, we escaped off planet, um, due to some quick moves and some good thinking, and once we got off planet, we were thankful that we made it out, and we um, we jumped to FTL to come to Grendel, and that's when we came out of FTL, and that's when we also found that this synthetic had stowed away on the ship. What we've put together since then is that the synthetic opened up this urn that we had brought back. We didn't know what it was. It looked somewhat ceremonial, but it was opened, and inside were um, containers of this black substance, this mutagen, because it tried to inject the doctor, but it did end up injecting our medic, and injected me, but apparently it had no reaction on me, which I was lucky, but our medic wasn't so lucky. So in fighting this synthetic, the medic also basically one of these strange xenomorphs came out of our medic and killed him as it emerged. And it killed another of our crew before we could escape to a lifeboat and decompress the ship and blow it into space.
Verhoeven sighs deeply, and he kind of looks down at his leather shoes. Khan says, "Was the xenomorph that came out of your medic, his name, what was his name, Vickers? Was it XX121, or was it something else? Was it black, or was it more white?"
I don't know who I didn't see it, right? So it must be, yeah, because I think there were only a couple people that might have seen it, right, as it emerged.
Yeah, who actually
I didn't
saw
see it.
I don't know that anybody saw it,
I don't
unless
think
they caught it on the camera.
Oh no, Bob saw it. Jake Sinclair saw it.
Yeah.
He
Well,
was
there we
there
go.
when it popped out.
I'm pretty sure it was whitish, if I remember correctly, out of character.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, white or gray. Yeah. So Khan kind of, she nods, and so the but the xenomorphs you saw in the caves were the XX121, the large black exoskeleton creatures, correct?
That is correct. They were 121, and there was a humanoid as well that resembled some of the things we have seen about the so-called engineers, but again, different.
Khan
Looked female.
Khan kind of stands up a little bit straighter, and she looks over at Rose and Verhoeven and says, "You saw a humanoid. What did the humanoid look like?" Oh wait, real quick question. Out of game. You guys were wearing suits during all this, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So you guys
yeah, we were.
actually have video of all of it.
Oh,
Yep.
that good point. So let's roll the film.
Yeah. Let's go to the video. Um, where's Khan also asked, where's Doctor Roman? He's not here. He wasn't killed also, was he?
Luckily, he's still with us, but he's on the ship right now.
How's he feeling?
Not great. His condition seems to be deteriorating as well.
Verhoeven, he speaks up. He said, "Well, we need to see what we can do for him. You brought back more. You said you brought back a couple vials or containers of the black accelerant. I don't Dr. Khan will need to lead me on this. I don't know that that is the route we need to go with this. Khan shakes her head and says, "No, without if it came out of one of the engineer urns, it's already been programmed to do what it does. We might be able to do something with it, but we're just as likely to kill him. Um, no problem. Sorry. We're just as likely to kill him, or worse. We
Or worse.
we might be able to do some prolongation. Uh, we're out of Yacha blood samples. We'll have to see what we can do to help him."
Didn't we collect some samples? Thought somebody grabbed.
Why, in fact, yes, you did.
Yeah, but that was a while ago.
No, it was Vickers grabbed it from a dead one as you guys were leaving.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. In fact, in fact, shit. Dr. Roman, I think, gave it to you guys as you guys left the ship. So one of you has it. I'm not sure who. Probably Rudy.
Here's your sample.
Yep, and a video.
So let's, just to kind of montage it a little bit. The none of them have seen. They're all very interested in this female humanoid, and really all the video from that cave complex. Uh, you know, especially they certainly have heard rumors. They've gotten references with all of Rose's connections and her different ways that she gets information, but to have actually seen a one of these archaeological sites as well as a humanoid is just absolutely incredible to them. Um, Rose says, I really wish we had that android. I'd like to know more about what he knows. Obviously, he's been around. Do you have any idea what class he was?
Is that something Rudy might know?
I would say Rudy would definitely know that answer. Rudy would definitely know that answer, and anyone who wants to make a wits roll, just a straight wits roll, we can see if they know him. But Rudy, absolutely. It was definitely a David.
It was a David, she says.
The Davids haven't. I mean, a David hasn't been made in almost 100 years.
Yeah, out of character second. Can you remind us what happened to the David when we decompressed the ship? Did he go out?
Yeah, his body went.
He went
out
spinning
into
out.
Space. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to remember that. Okay.
She says, "Well, that David unit certainly knows quite a bit about this genetic accelerant. It would seem if he had manipulated or somehow modified one of the samples out of the urn and was going to inject you all with it, or I guess did inject two of you, then obviously he has his own ideas, or had his own ideas."
Well, Rudy, don't you have some drawings that David made that you found on the ship? Weren't there some drawings on paper as well as some drawings on the walls? You're muted. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we actually collected those, but I don't remember what happened to them. I don't know if they got ejected into space with all the other loose debris on the ship, or...
No, because you found them afterwards.
Oh, okay. That's right. Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to remember. Well, so I guess, do we have those with us? I just turned them over
sure.
too, if you want to see them.
Yeah, you can have those with you.
I thought I thought we were generally bringing all the stuff.
Okay, well,
Well, that's probably true. You left. I know you did leave the two spindly vases and the urn back on the ship
Yes.
with Andy. Um, but yeah, where did all those pictures go? Got them here somewhere. If you guys feel the need to see them again.
Um,
I don't know what I did with them. Oh, there they are. Share all the joy. I think it's safe to assume that the present company finds these pictures somewhat disturbing, and Verhoeven, Verhoeven, you guys, as they're thumbing through these, he's like, and you believe the synthetic drew these?
At this point in time, yes.
And he's like, these are absolutely terrifying. He says, when I was a younger man, there were a lot of people that believed, and he looks at Rudy and says, no offense, there were a lot of people that believed that AI would ultimately be the death of mankind. And these pictures kind of evoke that feeling.
well, it was certainly the death of two of our folks.
Says, I'm very sorry about that. I really
Well,
am.
I'm extremely interested. I was checked, and the autodoc said that I was injected with the same thing as Vickers, fighting the synthetic. He injected both of us. Now we overcame the synthetic, but Vickers had something growing inside him and come out, or mutated him, or whatever. But um, then this thing came out, and the autodoc said it was inert in my bloodstream. So I'd be very interested in the docs checking me out again to make sure that it's gone. And second, why? I want to make sure I'm not sometime in the future going to suddenly have something split me in half and come out.
Yeah, Khan nods. We can certainly do that. That other xenomorph is something that Wayland Yutani somewhat misnames a neomorph for like they haven't assigned a scientific name to it yet because there have only been a few that have been spotted, but they seem to sometimes birth from this black goo when it's introduced to a human being. On the other hand, there's also been instances where the black goo has eventually birthed a full size XX121 where the person's skin literally sloughs off, revealing an XX121. It's most disturbing. So we really haven't figured out how all this works yet. We haven't had any samples of the accelerant to work with, and Wayland Yutani doesn't seem like they've had much success. It's a Dealing with this stuff is a dangerous game, it would seem.
Well, it's clearly being weaponized.
Yeah, I think Verhoeven kind of looks at Blake when you make that statement and nods slightly.
It could be the end of everybody if these guys can just fly in with a ship and drop it on people and turn them into stuff or kill them or otherwise inject them. What if they put it in water supplies? I don't know. You're the scientists. You guys figure it out. But this,
Verhoeven looks at you all and says, Have you ever heard a story about a cargo ship named STSV Centurion?
With all due respect, sir, I'm not really in the mood for stories. Can you please get to the point?
Uh, Verhoeven nods and says, "Very well." So, in 2141, a 3WE starship, the Centurion, responded to a distress call from a mining vessel. When they approached, they found that that vessel had apparently drifted almost a full parsec past the 20 parsec limit. Not much is known at this
Can you
point.
explain that? I'm sorry, like out of game. What does that mean?
Oh, the 20 parsec limit. Fair enough. The 20 parsec limit was established back in, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can probably tell you. The 20 parsec limit was established in 2113, which is 9 years before the original movie took place. And it was established because in the early years of exploration, say uh, between 2079 and 2113, there were a number of missions and ships that went missing beyond that 20 parsec limit. There were also some small colonies established beyond that limit, including the colonies that became the head for the Hyperdyne Corporation, which actually creates androids. But at that far out, there were just so many losses of colonies and ships that the basically the world's governments got together and said that we're just not going to let anybody go beyond 20 parsecs. It's just too dangerous. If nothing else, they're too far out, they're too far away to get help or supplies or that type of thing. And to give you an example, if you look at the star map, Earth is right there, and each square represents a parsec. Of course, this is a two-dimensional map of 3D space, but regardless, um, so all the way up here is only 14 parsecs, and the limit is 20. So there's a lot of space within that 20 parsec limit. But so Verhoeven, anyway, he continues. Centurion, the last known message from Centurion was that they were crossing the 20 parsec limit to provide assistance to this ship. And shortly after that, 3WE registered both ships lost. However, there was a transmission that was intercepted actually by the UPP that stated something about, it was very garbled, there wasn't much to make out, but something about a highly advanced and aggressive life form. And the word hunted was used. And that's about all we know about that incident. But it was 4 years later that I founded Strategic Solutions Incorporated, because I had a gut feeling. I had a gut feeling that the Yautja were back. Something has changed in the last 40 years, and it has exploded in the last 3 or 4. There have been Yautja sightings or outright conflicts with Yautja on at least a half dozen planets around the core systems, as well as the outer veil and the frontier. But more importantly, it seems that wherever these black bombers show up, the Yautja also show up.
You're telling us we're caught in the crossfire?
Well, I don't know that for a fact, but you certainly were caught in a crossfire under the Weyland Yutani outpost on GBH 45, you said that the Yautja and the xenomorphs and the humanoid that seemed to have lost interest in you and they fought each other.
Yeah, that's the way it looked to us.
So possibly the good news to that, where we're concerned, is that maybe we're no longer the targets anymore. Unfortunately, we have colonies spread out all across space, and Rose kind of speaks up and says, "Well, as much as we don't feel like, and maybe we want to think we're not targets anymore, there was another black goo bombing in the Wayland Isles 3 weeks ago. Another colony wiped out by an unknown ship dropping some sort of mutagen."
Oh my God. So, what are we doing about this? What's our next step?
Verhoeven says, "I think our next step is to analyze all the data that you brought back from GBH 45 and see if we can do anything about your crew member, Dr. Roman, on your ship. See if we can help him."
And can we get a new arm for this one? She's gonna start speaking out.
Uh,
Yeah, we just so you know, unfortunately, we took off without grabbing a replacement with us from the research facility. That would have been a nice one. You'll see when you look at the data. Yeah, we need some time to heal and to get uh, Rudy fixed up and the dock. See what we can do for the dock. We also need to look at what repairs might need to be done to the ship, and we need to refit. Um, Ever since we started working for you guys, it's been one event leading to another to another. It seems like we're constantly in the shit working for you guys. Now, I understand you're just trying to collect information and piece together what's going on so that there can be a response. And I understand the threat, but um, it just feels like don't you have anybody else, any other fodder you can put in front of the cannon?
Blake looks disdainfully over at Dwayne with a little bit of a searing look as he lost his entire team this last round out.
Yeah, you seem to strike a nerve a little bit with that last statement, Dwayne. Verhoeven says, "Let me show you something." And he walks over to one of his bookshelves, and it's this particular bookcase is it looks like it's a bookcase of fiction, and he puts a finger on the top of the spine of one particular book that maybe you've heard of it, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And he pulls it out very slightly and says, "Stand back, please." There's a hum of motors and kind of a release of air, then the bookcase recesses in about a foot or a little more, and then it slides off to the right, revealing a small hidden room. And inside that room, it almost looks like a trophy case of sorts, or maybe an armory. Behind clear plastisteel, you see numerous weapons, an assault rifle, the likes of which you've never seen before, a knife with a wickedly serrated blade that looks suspiciously like the wrist blades that you've seen on the Yautja, an ARM computer similar to one that Blake has, a suit of armor. There's also you also see one of the Hunter aliens' helmets and one of their ARM computers, though it doesn't look like it's functional. Bits and pieces of what looks like the armor you've seen them wear. And even one of their shoulder cannons, though it is scorched and damaged. Um, Last, there's a flintlock pistol, like an ancient Earth flintlock pistol, with a gold plate and engraving on it that's kind of smack dab in the center. He says, "This is my trophy case. I was once part of a team that was viewed as expendable to get a job done. And nobody's expendable. And I don't want you to feel that way, Mr. Dunning. My family immigrated to the United States when I was about 10. My father was a diplomat. I was a big kid. I learned to play American football. I was good at it. My friends gave me a nickname and it stuck. I joined ROTC, went to West Point, graduated and went off to war in a place that's now part of the Union of Progressive Peoples. I retired from the Army at the rank of major, started my first company working special ops for the DoD. In 1987, my crew was in Guatemala when we encountered our first predator. My men were special forces vets and we were picked off one at a time. I was sold out on that mission by a friend of mine, a spy.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
I will tell you the whole story another time, but I killed this thing in single combat with some luck, and it set off an explosion that destroyed 10 city blocks worth of jungle. In this fight, we need to bring all resources to bear, and nobody is expendable. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that we aren't going to lose people, and I'm sorry that you've lost some of yours already.
Hey, out of game, is Verhoeven like 200 years old or what? I'm confused by the timeline a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Well, when Rose told you that the Yautja have been hunting Earth for hundreds of years, she wasn't lying. He hits a button and one of the clear plasteel pieces opens up and he pulls off the flintlock pistol very, very gently and hands it to, let's see, I don't know, let's see, not Blake, because Blake probably already knows about it. Hands it over to Bob, to Jake Sinclair, Dr. Sinclair. And Sinclair, when you look at it, it says engraved on a gold plate or a brass plate probably on the side of the pistol, it says a name, Raphael Adolini, and a year, 1715. That pistol was given to me by a friend before he died. It was given to him by a Yautja elder after he had slain one in 1997 in Los Angeles. At that point, I was involved in something called the OWLF project. We were tracking these Yautja and doing everything we could to bring them down where they were and save as much of their technology as possible. Difficult when they, set off a nuclear explosion when they can't win. In the 2030s, they just stopped, and we don't know why. My last encounter with one was in the year 2031. And shortly after that, the OWLF project was disbanded. There was no need for it anymore. I took as much of the tech and as much as what we had found with me as I could, and I simply tried to enjoy retirement. My name is Alan Schaefer. I was born in Holland in 1946. My friends call me Dutch. He,
Right.
he
What year is it right now?
2184.
So how is this possible?
You moisturize a lot?
Funny. It's a little hard. It's a little hard to believe.
You, you brought back a sample of Yautja blood. When I was in Guatemala in 1987, I was exposed to quite a bit of radiation. While I survived the explosion, I was very sick, and I spent an amount of time in a hospital. Meanwhile, being interrogated over and over by military intelligence, CIA, and a number of other people who I later learned were OWLF. They, it, I was slowly regaining my strength after about 3 months. It started to dawn on me that I may never leave that hospital. So I I escaped. I was still sick, but I made my way down to Mexico and I started listening to the locals in South and Central America about their myths and legends of the dim one who makes trophies of man. Eventually, I came across a man named Peter Keys. Uh, Said he worked for the DEA. Later found out that he worked for the OWLF project. Before he was killed in Los Angeles in 1997, I started working with him. And in 2006, I came down with a very quick and unexpected stage 4 cancer. They had developed an experimental treatment from Yautja blood, and I gladly took it. Not only did it cure my cancer, but it, well, let's just say that at that point I was in my early 60s and I felt like I was 30 again. You, I know it's fantastic. It's hard to believe, but I have documentation for all of it. I can prove it to you if I need to. But I think one thing I do not need to prove, I think that you know we're on the same side. And I'm not sure what the next move is. Rose kind of looks at all of you and says, "Well, you're, you know, Dr. Sinclair, Mr. Dunning, Rudy, you've all proven to be extremely reliable and very good at what you do. Uh, I hope we can count on you continuing to help us with this. I certainly am going to need some help with analyzing all of this data, and I'm sure Dr. Khan could use some assistance in trying to help Dr. Roman."
And we will need to recruit more members for the tactical teams.
Yeah, Rose nods and says, I've got I've already got a job fair planned next week at the Hilton.
It's that's good. Yeah, free coffee and
Good
donuts.
job.
Come join the fight.
Obviously, Verhoeven says, obviously, as we recruit additional security forces, you can understand, Captain Rudat and the rest of you, how careful we have to be with that. We certainly want our security personnel to be informed, but we have to be careful how much information we release at a time. Um, so it's a very it's a tightrope that we have to walk here, but it's again, it's important that we all understand that I don't view a single person as expendable.
I think currently the issue that we have at the very least is we seem to be jumping into the fire the whole time, and we're not a combat capable team. We're a research or at best reconnaissance team. So it might be a good idea to try and use us more where we are useful, as opposed to letting us end up in the thick of things the whole time. Either that or attach a full combat team with us. Because I really don't want to lose more friends.
Verhoeven is, or Schaefer, is nodding and says, I agree with you completely, Dr. Sinclair. We do need to make sure that you have more combat assistance. The On the other hand, a pure combat team probably would not have been as successful as your team has been so far. But we will certainly make sure to provide you all the support necessary at this point. If you choose to continue working with SSI, we need your help. You have the understanding, the knowledge, you know what we're up against. And obviously, money's not a problem. I'm, I'm 200 and some years old. You should see my 401k. No.
Yeah, if you survive, right?
Well, what, what is it? What is it the guy said in Starship Troopers? Mobile infantry made me the man I am today. And he's sitting in a chair at a desk with
Yeah,
no
that's
legs.
I
right.
love that scene.
That's awesome.
Casper Van Dien's like, oh shit, I just signed up.
Verhoeven says, or you can walk away. It's no hard feelings. That that
He'll just have us killed, right? That's the. That was not in game. That's just be fucking right.
Yeah, but that's probably what would happen.
yeah, he
Blake is eyeing everybody.
Um, you know, as much as we've lost and what we've been through, this is still the opportunity of a lifetime, and I, for one, would like to make these bastards pay for what they did. Count me in.
Rudy will look at Dwayne. Dwayne,
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm in.
well, if they're in, I'm in.
Verhoeven says, I'm going to transfer. I'm going to make a transfer to your account. I understand that no amount of money will replace your two crew members.
Well, how? Don't be hasty. I'm just kidding there too.
Uh, but certainly the data you've brought back, and the sample of the accelerant, the two samples of the accelerant that we can work on. Let's uh, let's get to work. He looks at Dr. Khan and says, Katori, I want you to make adapting the Yautja treatment for Dr. Mitchell, or I'm sorry, Dr. Roman. Dr. Roman, a priority. Let's see what we can do to help him as quickly as possible. And as he hands the blood sample over to Dr. Khan, she says, I'll be on it right away. And Rose, Rose says, you know, we're obviously we're not the only ones who know about XX121 and the accelerant. Everyone, I mean, Wayland Yutani, the members of there are certain elements in the UA UPP, but the Yautja can't be a secret either. There's just been too many encounters, and you know, Verhoeven kind of says, yeah, I actually I think about that. You know, Dr. Peter Wayland had his famous TED talk back in 2023 where he announced the cure for cancer. And the Utani Corporation, some years later, suddenly invents fusion reactors. Not just the fusion process that had been they'd been working on creating stable fusion since the early part of the 20th century, but the actual ability to maintain and collect the energy produced by fusion. And it was 90 years ago they created their first that Wayland when Wayland Yutani merged, they created their first plasma and particle beam weapons. It, I have to believe that they reverse engineered some of that technology, but there's no way to figure that out at this point, I think. Anyway, Rose says, "All right, well, let me uh, let me get these hard drives and get to work. You guys left the black goo samples on the ship, right?"
Think so.
Yeah, I
That is
think that's
correct.
correct. Along with Andy, Rose.
Actually, I think I suggested to leave it on the ship, and then everybody decided to take it off the ship. Wasn't that it? Or I forget. I know that it
No, I think
was
we
we had.
started off thinking we were bringing it, and then in discussion, we thought it'd be safer to
Oh,
leave
I see. Just to contain it there. You're right. Okay, so it's flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Um, Rose. Rose. She looks over at you, Blake, and says, "Well, if it's all right by Captain Rudy, why don't you scare up a few security team members to go secure Magellan, and bring back Dr. Mitchell or Dr. Roman. I keep doing that. I keep transposing his first and last name. Dr. Roman and the samples for Dr. Khan, and then we can, Captain Rudy, if it's all the same to you, if you like, we can leave security members on site at your ship just to make sure that it stays secure."
I think that works for me. Rest of the crew.
Sounds good. I suppose.
And
Okay.
I look at Verhoeven and I say, "Where do you want me next?"
Verhoeven, he kind of tilts his head for just a moment and says, "Just stay close at this point. I'm not sure where this is going next."
Well, we need a combat specialist on our team.
Absolutely, and I think Blake is a perfect fit for that, as well as how many cryotubes do you have on board your ship?
What was it, guys? Like 5 or something like that?
I think it's 6.
6 maybe. Yeah.
Well, wait a minute.
Mhm.
Let's see. Who's got the ship sheet?
Ship sheet?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Would that be?
Oh, I think it was on. I think it was
He
on Max Decker's
he's
character sheet.
deceased.
It might be. Is he deleted already,
No,
or can
no,
I
he's
pull
in.
it up?
He's here.
Let me
Um,
let me bring him up.
yeah, I got it. It's a cryo deck 2, so I just need to check that. I it probably would have made sense to know the answer
Ah.
before I asked the question. You know, GM has to do. I have to do some bad GM thing at some point. Where do I find ship? Um, ship classes. Shoot. That's the one thing I will say about the Alien rulebook. I don't feel like, and I've never felt this way, and I'm sorry, Free League, if you're listening and you don't like how I say this, but I've never felt like the rulebook was laid out in an intuitive way, I think is the best way to put it. It feels like it bounces around a little bit, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little tough to follow sometimes.
Yeah, I've never quite understood why they did it that way. Okay, core components. I am in the neighborhood. A cryodeck 2. Oh, a cryodeck 2 has tubes for 10 people. And of course, one of them is. Oh no, one of them. No, none of them got damaged. That's right. No, one of them is damaged. No, no, they're all fine. I'm making that up. That's right, because you didn't get him fully. You didn't get Victor's fully in cryo before the alien popped out of him. So you have 10 tubes.
So we got that going for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that means you could have what, 6 tactical team, right?
Um,
Because there's four crew members left.
4 crew members, and then plus you makes 5. So you plus another 5 guys. So yeah, basically a full squad.
That works for me.
Works
So
for us.
yeah, yeah. Verhoeven says, yeah, Blake, I'll let you handle the staffing of the team. Meanwhile, I suppose we need to work on resupplying your ship as well, since that synthetic sounds like he blew everything you owned out of the airlock in terms of
Weapons.
weapons.
Need plenty of weapons.
Maybe some pilot training for one of you too.
Oh, that reminds me. Backing off for just a second, what did everybody do with their XP? Or did those decisions get made?
Um,
I
I,
think
I still have a decision to make. I was thinking about adding a point to close combat, but I'm now wondering if we're going to have. I didn't envision that we would start carrying around a tactical team with us. So Dwayne might have to do a lot less fighting, although close combat is
Yeah,
really a
right.
survival mechanism.
Yeah, right.
Wait a minute, aren't there 6 guys going to be ahead of us in the battle order? Um,
I mean, Max Decker was on the bridge, or where was he when he got
He was in
jumped?
Apollo. Yeah.
In
Yeah, it was an
Apollo.
Apollo.
That's where
Right.
he died. Like,
Yeah.
there's nowhere safe.
and then what was the rule on skills that you can increase the skill, but you were supposed to have used it, right?
Yeah, I looked into that. You can any skill you already have a point in. You can put a point in no matter what. Okay, whether you used it or not. If you want to put a point in a skill that you do not have a point in, you have to have used it during the scenario to do
Okay.
so. Whether
All
you
right. Well,
failed or succeeded.
good clarification. Well, then, so that the question, then for Rudy is, I can increase my piloting by 1, which would give me 6 dice, but you already have 8, right?
Sorry, it took me a while to get off mute. Yeah, basically,
So you're the better pilot.
I have 1
Um,
point in piloting, but the agility is really high. So
the other thing is, I don't. I have that backup in piloting so that in a pinch I can pilot, but um, you normally ask the pilot to do the Comtech maintenance, and I have a crappy Comtech. I have 0 in Comtech, so I only have 3 wits, so I only have 3 dice for Comtech. So although I'm your guy for doing the maintenance on the ship,
Mechanical, yeah.
the mechanical part, the Comtech on the flight systems, that's not me.
No,
yeah, me neither.
I think Bob and I'm sorry, Sinclair and Roman or your high comtech. I think they're both like 8 or something like
Yeah,
that.
so we'd have to split. We'll have to split those duties up. Max used to do the Comtech for the flights, for the main stuff on the ship, and I used to do the mechanical. Now, one of our other Comtech guys will do that. So the question comes down to: is it worth me putting another point in piloting, or should I go ahead and put my point in close combat?
Well, I had put I mean, this probably won't answer your question, but I had put 1 point in piloting just to serve as the backup, the same way I had put 1 point in medical aid just to serve as a backup. Never really
You know,
intended to be like the full-time pilot or anything like that.
yeah. So I mean, my opinion, being max before, I mean, I think I was rolling 12 dice sometimes and maybe got 2 or 3 successes on the 12 for piloting. If we're going to be carrying a complement of, a squad of infantry, I think the need for personal defense gets shifted away and maybe towards the piloting thing. I don't know when, say 2 people are proficient at piloting, can they combine to assist, or how does that work? I mean,
It's like any other skill roll. You can have someone assist with a piloting roll, which whoever's assisting the main, whoever's rolling would gain a die of assistance
yeah,
from the
gain a
help.
die, so it's not a
So that,
ton,
so
but
that
it's
that would give Rudy 9 dice.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's approaching what Max had, and I got to tell you, it's very satisfying to be able to fly out of a situation with a couple successes. But it would
Which we've
suck if
done,
we did
what, every time?
every time. Yeah, so that's like that's a party killer right there if the piloting roll doesn't happen. So yeah, yeah, because I'm essentially rolling mobility for the entire team when Max was piloting. So
That's
if you
true.
fail
I didn't
that,
think about it that way, but yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, I still have a decision to make. If
I mean,
I,
if you already have piloting, then you can already assist. It doesn't matter if you have more.
yeah,
But
it only matters if Rudy for some reason can't fly.
right, but when you assist, if you right, you get whether you have
No, I
1 in
understand.
piloting
If
or
Rudy,
yeah.
if Rudy can't fly, let's say Rudy for some reason is incapacitated, then I would have to pilot, and I only have 5 dice.
Right. That's kind of what we have to live with, I guess, unless there's a pilot that what's the acronym the for the organization SII
Oh,
SSI.
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 I don't know if SSI has a pilot that can be assigned to Magellan. Blake can
Not
ask that.
not at this time.
Okay. Would could one of Blake's little side missions here be going and looking around with contacts for a pilot that
We can look into that possibly. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what Grundle's like as far as a haunt for,
And a Comtech guy.
you know,
Oh, you've got 2
he's
Comtech guys. Both your
I
scientists have
guess
high
that's true.
comtech.
That's true.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's the good thing about generic vague skills. It works for science, and suddenly it works for anything else that needs context.
all right. So for the time being, Rudy will be the pilot. I can aid piloting roles if possible. I'm not sure I want to put my point in piloting then.
Well, we'll let you think about that for a minute if you like.
Okay. What'd the rest of you guys do?
I think I bumped up Comtech by one. My Comtech is now 9.
Oh wow.
What's your wits?
5.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Well,
So you could
scientists.
eventually get a Comtech up to 10, right? You can have
Uh,
5. You can up to 5 in any skill, I think.
That's correct.
yes. Right.
All right. Cool.
Blake increased mobility by 1, going up to 3. That was probably the only thing that made sense.
All right.
And as for me, I had like 4 experience points in the bank. So I was able to up 2 things for the first time. And one was counselor, which is to help the crew with like panic rolls, I guess, to help reduce distress, rather, is what it does. And then I added a point in observation
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. All right.
because she's not very observant.
Um. So. So let's you guys let's kind of put it this way. We have some on planet downtime here. Um, Katori Khan, the SSI scientist, is going to be working on developing a treatment for Dr. Roman. Um, and Rose is going to be working on, further, no problem, further information gathering and dissection from the hard drives. Certainly either of them probably could use some assistance if anybody wanted to help in part of that. There's also the black goo if you guys wanted to do any further research into that. And then anything anybody else wants to do. Grendel is like I said in last session, in case you don't remember, um, Grendel being an ICSE colony, it's very. The best way to put it is it's very. Shoot. It's kind of capitalism run amok, and the government doesn't really care as long as they get their cut. The government of Grendel. It only has the one
We should all
colony.
be pretty used to that.
Yeah, exactly. The 50,000 bucks just to get you to land. Um, and the colony is basically just one giant city. There's some out colonies, for probably for mining or other places where there's valuable resources. Um, but pretty much anything that wants to be bought here can be bought here. It just depends on what it costs you. Is the best way to put it. It's and I just updated your cash situation. So if you guys check the ship stores, your cash is at 166 grand. It dropped 50 from the cost of landing at Magellan, and yet another 100 grand dropped in the account by Verhoeven slash Schaefer. So I guess the best way to put it is, what do you guys want to consider stocking up on? You've got access to most anything you could want. Of course, SSI weaponry is fully available. Of course, yeah, I killed all that off the stores, didn't I? So, Let me do that. Let me get those loaded back onto the ship stores file just so you can see the stats and you can decide what you want there. Your your suits need to be replaced, and you don't have any armor either, if I remember all that correctly.
Right.
Why can't I get down to there? It is. Okay. Let me. I'm gonna get all that worked out. So who'd like to do what?
Well, Max's ghost will whisper into Rudy's ear that she should get a sentry gun back.
Suddenly, Rudy remembers that we need to get sentry guns back.
Uh, Blake is going to go out and see if he can stir up a pilot.
Okay.
And I'd like some replacements for the AR-40. I don't have my AR-40 anymore.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I imagine an explosive decompression plus all the havoc that was wreaked on the ship, that there's a lot of work to do on the ship. So Dwayne is going to work on getting everything back in tip-top shape.
Okay.
So whatever has to be repaired is going to get repaired. And I'll leave it to Rudy to go and dig up weapons and new suits and stuff like that, unless Rudy wants my help, but that'll have to wait until after I'm done with the maintenance and repairs.
Well, Rudy has no problem doing it, but she does have to submit to a procedure to have her arm replaced. So
Yeah,
that
that
might
would be a
take a
good
while.
thing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Rudy, obviously, Verhoeven has no problem paying for your replacement limb. That's not the issue, and and SSI certainly can get it reinstalled. The problem is if you want something that is going to match perfectly. You know, you're talking about quite a wait, probably 6 to 8 weeks. Um, just because it basically has to be custom ordered, and not only that, I think perhaps something that would maybe concern Rudy a little bit is just that you're custom ordering that particular limb with her background. I don't know if she wants to do that, but I'll let you make that decision. Neither here nor there. On the other hand,
She wants to. If she wants to wait, you mean?
just because you, as a general rule, you're not trying to announce to the whole world,
Right. I would
where
see
you
that
are.
being very contrary to her current programming. Like she would be sort of obsessed with being perceived as a person, not as a robot. So I think she would wait, right?
Okay, that's your call. A generic limb could be gotten within a couple weeks, but it would be plainly obvious that it'd be plainly obvious to everybody at that point that if they saw it, that you'd be a synthetic because it obviously wouldn't match. Um, I, but that's I'm just giving you those options.
So, question here:
Yes.
Can Rudy do both? Get a temporary limb, and then later get the custom/bespoke limb switched out, and also while we're at it, can we add some functionality in the limb, like a flamethrower, a chains,
Rocket launcher, I was thinking.
a small nuclear device?
um, let me think on the functionality, as it were. Um, but she certainly could order both limbs. She certainly could order both limbs. That way, she could get up and running in the short term, and um, up and running in the short term, and then get the real one when it comes in.
Well, if that's an option, then yes, I think that would be what she
Yeah,
would
I'll
want to
let
do.
you do that. That's fine. That's no problem. Complete Okay, so I have put in the ship stores. I have put in the ship stores the three different strat soul weapons, the stats form, as well as the stats for for the SSI personal armor. Um, you guys can make the decision in terms of what you need there. Um, you guys can make the decisions in terms of what you need there, in terms of how many you want of what, as well as reloads. But you've got three different guns available to you, as well as the Strat Soul armor.
Can Rudy find a replacement for her trusty 357?
I don't see that as any problem at all. That's a
Yeah, excellent.
pretty standard weapon, which they, by the way, they integrated that into Aliens Fireteam Elite. It's in the latest patch. It's now just called the Frontier Revolver.
I was just using it last night
Oh, were you?
to shoot synths in the head, actually.
It's it's
So kind
it's
of
got a
funny.
lot of stopping power. It hits those things pretty hard.
I got to get good at that game. I'm so bad at third person shooters. I was telling, you know, Sharif, but it sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking for a crew to play hardcore mode with, because hardcore.
Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, it's yeah, because with hardcore, if you die, you die. You have to start over, right? And I I'm perfectly comfortable playing the very first mission of the game, and I played the second and third one with my oldest son. Um, but they get hard, and those synthetic those battle synths they send with you, frankly, just suck. And bringing down like the alien warriors,
They are the absolute worst.
oh god, they're horrible. And then once in a while, their AI will kick in and they'll do something pretty decent. But generally, they just stand around and don't do
Well, the
much
problem is
with
at
you.
higher difficulties, there's friendly fire, and the AI constantly stands in front of you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
Well,
like just
hardcore mode
killing your own
has,
dudes the whole time.
I think, two difficulty levels: hardcore one and hardcore two. And hardcore one that doesn't have friendly fire, I think it's comparable to like the third difficulty level in the regular game. I haven't even begun to consider hardcore two yet because hardcore one's bad enough. When your smart gun's almost out of ammunition after the first fight. Holy crap. So, anyway, all right. Sorry about the digression there. All right. Well, Dwayne, make a heavy machinery roll on the ship. Oh yeah, yeah. You probably would want a new bolt gun, wouldn't you? Would you like to push a roll, Dwayne? As if I have to ask. Um, so at first glance, the ship seems to be fine, but the more you start to look over it, yeah, there's a few things, a couple steam vents that the gratings are off, or power conduits that are on the verge of coming loose. So you spend some time getting to work on all of that, um, and that's fine. We're kind of montaging this. 80s music is playing while everyone's doing their different tasks. Um, I'm going to make a roll for Rose as soon as I find her character sheet. This campaign has gotten so big, and I've got everything organized in, by scenario, but there's just so many entries now that finding what I'm looking for sometimes is very, very hard to do.
Well, this whole thing's going to take quite some time, right? Because Rudy's got to get a replacement arm.
Oh,
Blake's
yeah.
hunting guys. I'm working on the ship. The docs are trying to help the research. There's a lot going on. This is going to take a while.
Yep, absolutely. Um, so Rose, all right. So Rose is working on the hard drives, and what are you doing, Bob? What's Jake Sinclair up to?
Jake would have restocked everything he lost from his character sheet, basically. Make and they make sure that the stores has got extra of everything, especially PDATs and SSDDs, because we tend to freak out and drop them on the floor and break them.
Um,
And
all right.
and then he'll hang around with Rudy and help her, with the arm and try and design and figure out how to get all the functionality in it, or maybe get modular arm pieces. And if there's still time left, he would just help with the research and trying to see what he can research on his own as well in regards to what was found.
All right. Perfect. Um, so during the montage, Rudy, your arm, shows up Amazon delivery, and uh,
Those guys are the best.
yeah,
They have everything,
they really do. They really
even
do.
robotic arms.
With Prime, it's 2 day shipping. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
So
just when you had to wait 6 months for a robotic arm.
yeah, that's right. It's it's obviously a generic synthetic replacement limb, so it certainly doesn't match, and you probably wouldn't be happy with it, but it'll get the job done. Um,
She will immediately conceal it as best she can.
oh, I yeah, I would imagine as much. Absolutely, it would be. It would be, I believe for this type of repair, there is a Comtech roll required as well as a heavy machinery roll.
Good thing she's got friends.
That's right.
Well, honestly, is this handled by the medics who put it in, or is so I have to make the roll to?
No, no, no.
I'm not sure I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. No, someone else, other people can help install it. So Dwayne can make that heavy machinery roll, though. I think he said he had doorbell, so I'll just make his roll for him. And we'll have. I can't. This is interesting. I can't load Dwayne's character sheet. Oh, there it goes. That was strange.
There he is. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 dice.
That's crazy.
I will assist him.
All right, he got it there. All right, and Bob, you want to make the Comtech roll to attach Rudy's arm in terms of the complex electronics? One success. All right, so it takes a shift of work, but between Dwayne and Jake, they get this arm attached and functioning. So you've it's got full mobility. There's no loss of strength or anything. It just doesn't look like your arm, obviously, and that's something that you can certainly handle. Um, Now, Katori Khan is going to make a. Where is she? Oh my God! Marty, get your shit together. Where are all your characters? Well, all right. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Give me 1 second. I apologize, guys. Her
It's no
character
problem, man.
sheet. There we go. All right. So it takes Khan the better part of a couple days, but eventually, she while everybody's montaging, doing all the different things that they're doing, she approaches you, Captain Rudat, and says she's got a she's got a she's got a PDAT in her hand, and she says, "I've using all of Mr. Verhoeven's old data from OWLF, I've been able to rebuild what they did in terms of the Yautja treatments, and I'm ready to start treating Dr. Roman. It's the Yautja blood has amazing restorative properties. It's not going to cure his condition, but it should lend him quite a bit of strength for a while. I still don't know what the answer is to helping him long term. I'm sure that if we had a pure sample of the genetic accelerant, that we could do something. But in the meantime, this will be a way to keep him on his feet for a while.
Out of game, I'm assuming that Roman is like good with this.
Yeah, yeah. He had actually he had actually had a very brief whispered conversation with Dr. Khan prior to you guys going to GBH 45, and yeah, he's all in. He's been these last few days. He's been kind of pale and kind of uneven. You can tell he hasn't been feeling well, hasn't been moving fast. So yeah, he's kind of he was probably getting to the point where he was willing to even consider illegal X-Stims if it got him moving better. So yeah, he's in on this. It Khan says it's going to take about 3 days. It's three subsequent treatments over 3 days.
So does Dr. Khan need us to help her or assist her
No,
or?
she's got it under control. Just Andy's character is not going to be available to you while she's doing it.
Okay, Roger that.
All right. So, all right. So Dr. Mitchell goes off with her towards SSI's med lab, which is on the second floor of the SSI building. Meanwhile, Jones, Blake, you wanted to try and track down a pilot.
Sorry, couldn't stab my finger fast enough to the mic. Yes, I was going to go and see what kind of talent might be hanging around. If there's anybody that I know that I can clandestinely recruit to the program.
Yeah. This is where this is this is where things get a little interesting because we this has been a point of massive debate on both Reddit and the Facebook groups for this game that there's no streetwise skill. And there's a lot of question and argument as to how you work that out. But the way we'll start, I guess I'll have you make an observation roll.
Sounds good. Yeah, you would think there'd be a streetwise thing. Let's see, observation. Why can I not? There we go.
Hmm.
I do not observe.
Would you like to push the roll?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Wow.
shit. Okay.
I just had to think about it for a while.
That's it. And I see Blake Jones going around Grendel. He's probably hitting some of the bars or cantinas or that type of thing that are near the spaceport, because it would seem that that would be where you would find an around pilot. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy except Grendel, but and yeah, it's probably not going too well for you at first, but eventually you coming across one of the bars, as you're scoping the place out, you I would say you come across somebody that let's see, let's go to the random name generator, shall we? Because I didn't really expect to go down this path.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. We will go with that, and we'll go with that, and all right, and generate. Oh my God. Okay. So a bartender at one of these places points you points you off into a corner and says, "Well, you might want to check with her. She came in on a ship yesterday and she's been drinking ever since. I have a feeling that she's got nowhere to go." And he points at a woman in a darkened corner. She's kind of sitting in the corner of a booth, and she's she's got a number of empty shot glasses arrayed in front of her, and she's about to lift another one. She's wearing she's wearing a pressure suit without a helmet. And on the right side of that pressure suit is the emblem for the Three Worlds Empire, and on the left side of that suit is an imprint that says, back to the random name generator. Give me 1 second. Generate. That says, oh God, I don't know how to pronounce that. Liadin? I'll type it into chat. But it's, shit. Hold on. Technical difficulties.
Hmm.
My mouse died. I gotta switch over to my corded mouse. I'm sorry. Um, the uh, the ship name that's on her shoulder is that STSV Liadin.
Leiden,
Liadin.
Leiden,
Yeah.
Leiden. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Um,
Uh,
STSV, of course, is a commercial starship registered to 3WE. But yeah, so she's in the corner drinking away.
I asked the bartender what she's drinking.
He says, watered down beer and cheap whiskey.
You got anything back there better than the cheap stuff?
He kind of looks at you and says, "How much are you ready to pay?"
Well, I'm ready to pay.
He goes, all right, hold on just a moment." And he comes out with a bottle of. Let me get you a picture here. He says, "You're sure you want this? Because this stuff's expensive."
How much?
He sets a bottle in front of you that is, it's got a black label on it, as well as as well as the top of it is sealed by black paper as well, and it says on it, uh, Jack Daniels, old number 7. He says,
Oh,
this is Jack Daniels Black Label, imported in from Earth with everything going on. This stuff's expensive. You're looking at $250 a bottle, buddy."
I know that one well. Out of game, Blake. I didn't say anything about him picking up a cash reserve, but I don't know. Is that something that?
You know what? Yeah, actually, I thought about that this morning and I forgot to act on it.
Okay.
So let me do that. I'm going to, um, because he is paid. Um, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to do this. All right. Um, all right. So I just put in your line 8 on your character sheet what he has currently plus what he makes per week.
Well, okay. I'll take that salary.
Yeah, he's paid pretty well, all things considered.
So I'll tell the bartender I'll take it, and I'll ask for 2 glasses.
All right, perfect. All right, so he produces the glasses onto the bar and says, "All right, good luck." And I'm
So
trying to get a picture of this lady here. I can't seem to find one I like. This one will work. This will work. Go ahead.
oh, okay. I didn't know if you threw a picture up or not.
No,
Um,
I gotta get it. I gotta get it doctored
got it.
in real quick. So
So I walk over to her table and I quietly put down the bottle and into glasses, and I ask, mind if I join you?
she, yeah, she kind of looks up at you and she's not 3 sheets to the wind, but she's getting there pretty quickly. And she says, "Well, if you're bringing the booze, sure, you can sit down."
And so I take a seat and open up the bottle and pour 2 shots and slide one over to her and take one myself, and I salute or toast and say to really hard days, and see if she'll clink glasses.
Yeah, she picks up and says, "I'll drink to that." She's got an accent. You're yeah, you've been around a little bit. Your guess is it's probably Irish. And
We Irish lass.
that's right. And she lifts her glass, says, "I'll drink to that. Things aren't much harder for me right now." And she hammers that shot down and she goes, "Oh, you brought good stuff."
Only the best and slancha. So then I think what I'm going to do is, boy, I don't have a whole lot of empathy. Well, I do have 3 empathy. I guess that's. Um,
Characters. Let's see. Where the hell did my file go? Oh, that's where it went. I put it in the wrong place.
so I look at her and I guess I'm guessing I'm wearing kind of a nondescript jumpsuit
Yeah, yeah. I
kind of
doubt you're
thing.
walking
Yeah.
around in armor all the time.
No. Yeah. No. Yes, as hard of an ass as he is, not in
That's
armor
right.
all the time. So I would like to. I don't know if we need to do an empathy roll here or not, but I'd like to ask her about, her situation. Basically asking, uh, oh yeah, we Irish lass. Ask her, so didn't even have time to change out of your suit, huh?
She says, "No. I I guess I could make the time, but at this point, it's the last thing I'm holding on to. Uh, my ship's fucked." In her Irish, it sounds more like
Yeah,
ship's fucked.
ship's full. Uh, and I nod my head and saying I've been there a couple times too, and I pour 2 more drinks.
She says, "Yeah, we having some mechanical problems, and we had to make landfall. We came in, ship took more damage. I can't. She's done for." And the captain doesn't have a ship, can't pay the bills, can't pay me. So here I am, drinking away my last $147.
Oh, so you're out of a pilot ticket, huh?
She says, "Yeah, I got nowhere to go at this point. I guess I'll find something to do around here."
What was your what model was your craft?
It was a CM90 uh, uh, deep space salvage rig tow vessel. Standard Lockmart. But she was an older ship, and I guess the engines just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly sympathize with you. Um, I came in here actually looking for a pilot. Um, we recently had ours leave, and while we have some skills on my crew to pilot the
Leave.
current ship, um, we're
Body bag.
a bit lacking in confidence in piloting in remote situations. Um, I'll just throw this out now. You don't have to make a commitment, but if you would like to interview for this position, I can certainly try to make that happen.
She says, well, I think I'd like to spend a few more days getting drunk, but uh, I'm definitely interested. Do you have a network card? God, I can't do accents. I'm stopping the accent. Sorry,
No,
I'm
that's
terrible.
okay. That's okay. Do you have it? Yeah, I can't either. Yeah, don't worry about it. So yeah, I guess I have something that,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, that I could give her. I go, yeah, so I slide over the card. Uh, I can't tell you much about this now, but I can tell you it's steady and important work. It's a bit outside of just salvage, but I promise you, you won't be disappointed with the pay or the variety of.
You won't be bored.
Exactly, exactly. Um, I won't take up any more of your time, but if we could meet, let's see, what would be a good landmark besides this bar? Is there something that's close to?
Oh,
Rudy's in surgery too, right? And I heard about that. So,
well,
uh,
I mean,
or no, the surgery's not happening. Rudy just hasn't got an arm right now, right?
yeah, you're probably doing this at the beginning of the montage, so yeah, they're still waiting on the arm to come in.
Right. Okay. So I don't know what kind of. I guess it would be the spaceport. I don't know where would be on planet a good place. It could be this bar. Oh
It
fuck it.
could be this bar, or you could
All
have
right.
her. You could give her the address to the SSI building, or whatever you want to do.
Well, I would have assumed that SSI still wants to be a little hush hush, right? They're
Yeah,
not an
probably.
open organization. So I go, if I leave you this gift here, pointing at uh, the whiskey bottle, do you think you'd be willing and or able to meet my captain tomorrow afternoon, right here?
She looks at the whiskey bottle and looks back at you and says, "I might be drunk, but yeah, I'm not going anywhere."
Then we have a date,
She
and
she kind of looks you over for a moment, and says, I don't think you're my type, but I'm up for a job."
excellent. So we set the time for 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
Hopefully there'll be enough time to sober up. And uh, I do ask her, in case something happens and we come here and you're not here, is there another way we can get a hold of you?
She says, "Well, no, I've literally haven't left this bar since I got here yesterday, and my money's
Okay,
still good, so the bartender hasn't kicked me out."
okay. We will see you here tomorrow.
All right. She salutes a fresh shot towards you and downs it.
Okay, so I grab and have a shot as well, but before leaving the bar, I go and throw, I don't know, $50 and say, can you make sure that she eats something?
Yeah, bartender snatches up and says, "Yeah, I'll get her something. Don't worry, she'll be fine." Not the first pilot I've had in here getting drunk.
And it won't be the last.
That's the truth. I suppose you guys have in a few days you have a pilot to meet.
Marty, I just want to confirm our stores are back up to what they were before. We have the turret guns and spacesuits and everything else.
Well, we gotta actually physically go put all that on there, I think. Um, so I'll tell you what I did. If you look at the ship stores in the weapons section, I listed the three different strat soul guns and the armor and what their stats are, but I didn't put how many of what you have and how many reloads. So someone probably needs to go through and figure that out. Um, and obviously, we're not really tracking food and water at this point, though it might be worth someone just going through the book and figuring out what they want to add, in terms of uh, in terms of like things like medical kits and that type of thing.
What about my equipment? I lost. I've got no power loader anymore. I had a didn't I have a tractor? I
Yeah,
don't have a
the
tractor.
tractor's gone.
Yep, everything's gone.
Easy come, easy go.
Yeah, well, seeing as we know that we're going to come up against aliens, all that kind of thing, I guess we got to get Dwayne a power mecha suit, a Gundam suit to fight aliens with.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Um,
On Blake's side, can we use the CMOM for source gear and stuff like that, or
I'm going to say no, just
mm,
because he's doesn't work for the Colonial Marines anymore.
okay?
Um, but so we could just do this. We could just go through the book really quickly. Um, I'm just starting at the weapons and making my way down. Rudy, you wanted to get a replacement 357, so that's really not a problem. That's a pretty easy weapon to find.
She
Um,
also on her character sheet has. I'm just lazy. She also has the AR-40. I guess that's what you meant when you said strat cells.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I just
So
don't want to rewrite my character sheet. So
that's fine. So let's talk about then since we're talking about weapons, let's talk about weapons. You guys, um, Stratsol Strategic Solutions has three different guns that they make. Okay, one is the AR-40, which is the assault rifle, the armor-piercing assault rifle, which in the ship stores I've got all the stats. It's armor piercing, it's got full auto, and it's got an option. It's also got a scope on it, but it's got an option to mount either a flashlight or the smaller motion tracker. So then you've got the SMG 20, which is less damage, not armor piercing, but it gets a much bigger bonus. So that's a better weapon for people with less ranged combat. And then there's the 50 caliber hand cannon,
Mhm.
which is no bonus to hit, but it's 2 damage, it's armor piercing, and it's easy to draw a bead on a target at close range. It doesn't get the normal -3 penalty at point blank range that other weapons get. So I guess the question is, between those three guns, how many of which do you think you want or need? Of course, Blake can requisition whatever he wants. So I'm mainly talking about from the standpoint of ship stores. There's what, 4 characters plus 5 if you recruit this pilot.
Two of each per character.
2 of each per character. Holy shit, that's a lot of firepower.
Well, that's in ship store. So,
Okay, you
yeah,
know what?
like,
That's a valid statement. It's not like you're all carrying all of that on you all the time. So
yes,
that's valid. I'll give you that.
and we're effectively sort of going to be like long range, U.S. Rangers recon teams. So we don't know when we're going to be able to come back and restock.
It's a valid statement. It's a valid statement. So what I will do is I'm just going to load it up generously, and then So between 5 of the Stratsoul AR-40s, how many of them would you guys want? How many of them would you want to have the built-in flashlight, and how many would you want to have the built-in motion tracker?
Half and half, for argument's sake.
Am I here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Just got very quiet all of a sudden.
So how many Stratsouls do we have? 10.
Yeah.
So 5 high beam, 5 motion.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay. All right, that's fine. That'll work. All right. Let's see. Going down the list here. Anybody want any base? Well, obviously, Rudy picked up a 357. I don't know if anybody wants like a 12 gauge shotgun or anything like that. You had mentioned the sentry guns, right?
Yep.
All right.
The ghost smiles.
If it's permitted, I'd like to get an extra 357 to put in storage with the other weapons.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't.
She's
It's a
got the
pretty
one.
standard weapon.
She's got the one she packs on her hip. Since we're going to be out there for ever.
How many of those sentry guns do you think you need?
How many did Max have us get before? 2? 3? I don't remember.
4.
4? Well, there you go. That's how many we need.
All right. Let's see. We'll just put those right there. 4 U571C sentry guns. All right. Moving on. Dwayne had mentioned a power loader. If you guys wanted to buy a power loader, that's $50,000.
It's tough to spend that kind of money on one. The question is, the problem is when you need one, you really need one.
It's interesting. The power loader's 50 grand, but the tractor's only 17.
Yeah. And technically, we lost both of these under the employ of SSI. We should make them pay for it. Remind me, what's the carrying capacity of the tractor?
Well, they don't really say specifically. It carries 6 people.
Right.
They can be fitted with all sorts of modular equipment.
I think the tractor would come in more handy in general. But the power loader lets us lug stuff around in cargo pretty easy. But I don't know. What do you guys
fight
think?
Xeno Queens hand to hand. You never know.
Yeah.
I think a combat modified power loader would be very nice.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just that it costs a lot. We're not swimming in money.
I thought they agreed to make us whole on everything here. I mean, it cost us 50 grand just to land here.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do with your money? You're stuck in a special.
Well, I mean,
We might as well spend what we got because nobody's getting out of here alive, you know?
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'll.
All right. Well then, let's go for the power loader. Never know when we might need it.
Well, and I'll. I mean, you guys have 166 grand, but I'll definitely give you the option to. I'll give you the option to, try to negotiate with Rose for part of that to be sure. I'm just going to put the power loader on ship stores, and we all know you have a tractor. Because I assume you want to replace your tractor, being that it's only 17 grand. It's really
Yeah.
not that expensive.
It just seems like every time we get a cool piece of equipment, it immediately gets wrecked
I don't know why that keeps happening.
That is true.
or left behind because we're running like banshees.
Bob, you had made mention of wanting to pick up some PDATs.
Yep.
They're $500 a piece. How many of those do you think you need?
Probably 4.
Okay. All right. I'm throwing all this stuff in ship stores, and then whatever you guys want to pull out and add to your character sheet, you can, and we'll calculate encumbrance at that point. And then you also mentioned SSDDs.
Mhm.
Did you want to throw 4 of those on as well, or
Yeah, sounds good.
okay? All right. All right. Let's see. Moving on to vision devices, you already have flashlights and motion trackers on the ARs. Um, does anybody want a neurovisor so that you can monitor people's dreams in their sleep during hypersleep? Um, I'm just going through the book like one item at a time. Pups mapping devices. Of course, they're 50 grand a piece. They're not expensive or not cheap, not inexpensive. Is what I tried to say. Dwayne, you bought a new bolt gun, didn't you?
Roger Dodger.
All right.
Luckily, I still had bolts.
And did you? Well, I guess your cutting torch would be gone too if you had one. Did you want to buy another one of those?
Yes, might need it.
Yeah. All right. So make sure you put that on your sheet.
Okay.
Uh, personal med kits. You guys used up the last ones. With everything you had going on the last couple times. They're not that expensive. They're only $50 a piece. How many of those do you guys think you want to pick up?
I use those a lot. Sorry, I talked over you, Bob.
If it's just for us, I'd probably say 10 to 15.
All right. Yeah, we'll put 15 on them.
Who's going to be our medic now? Who's got
That's
the best
probably
medical
someone
aid
else we
dice?
need to recruit, but I have 9 dice, so
Holy shit!
I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah,
It's an empathy skill, so she's good at all empathy skills.
Okay.
you're pretty good at that. And then
All
if
right.
you use a med kit, it gives you +2. So, I'm gonna put Vickers did have a surgical kit. I'm going to put that in ship stores because just because he's dead doesn't mean it's gone. Just in case you're not clear on the rules, where if a character is broken and you're going to make a medical aid roll to stabilize them, if they have a major critical injury like a bleeding jugular or something, you need a surgical kit in order to make that roll. So whoever is making that roll needs to have a surgical kit on them. The ship stores say you guys are down to 4 Napro leave.
That
50.
needs to be corrected. Yeah, 50. That's good.
All right, Napro leave's what, like $5 a pill? Oh, $20 a pill. It's $1,000 worth of borderline illicit drugs. I'm not really going to worry about food and bottled water. We're good on that stuff, and I already put the tractor on. So, all right. So your total shopping bill comes to $121,000 to $121,250. Now,
Do it.
if you wanted to have a talk with Rose about that, I'm certainly willing to let you do that.
Yep. So I think high empathy character talks to Rose, and anything else we buy a lotto ticket for and have some Visa credit codes.
All right, let's call up Rose.
All right.
But I'd like to do it, um, like using like I don't know, um, some kind of video conference,
Yeah, sure.
and I want to be fixing. I want to be working on my arm when I call her.
Nice touch. I like that. Yeah. So you get her on the terminal. Uh, Captain Rudette, how are you? Nice to. See. It looks like you're coming along with your well, for lack of a better word, I apologize, with your repairs.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate uh, your company stepping up to help to make me whole.
Well, it absolutely it needed to be done. Obviously, we've got a lot of work going on here. I Dr. Khan updated me this morning that Dr. Roman is responding well, so he should be he should be ready to go in a couple days. And uh, Blake has been working on getting together all your supplies in terms of your weaponry requisitions, and I think he's found you a pilot that he wants you to interview. But in the meantime, what can I do for you, Rudy?
I'm calling because we've incurred quite a bit of expense replacing all of our lost equipment, and I'd like to know how much assistance we could count on from your company.
Oh, I think we can definitely help you out. What besides the weaponry we're providing, what all did you have to replace?
I will give her the
Just
list of
go down
things.
the list.
Yeah, I'll
um,
send you an invoice.
she she nods. That's pretty extensive. It's unfortunate the tractor that we just provided you as a bonus got wrecked. And power loader's not an inexpensive piece of equipment, unless I'm mistaken. The one you had, you shall we say, acquired from the UPP. But let me see what I can come up with. Rudy, why don't you make your manipulation roll? All right, and then
I love it.
oh
I
boy,
love it.
I haven't seen the roll yet, so
Delightful.
I'm terrified.
So funny. So
That's
funny.
The two of them are just staring at each other
Yeah.
awkwardly on the screen. Um,
Dirty-doo.
but as a PC, you have the advantage of pushing, which she does not. Would you like to push your roll?
Yes, I mean, I kind of feel like I'm using my powers for evil here, so I feel bad doing this, but yes,
Well,
so I
don't
will
worry.
push.
I'm not going to let you abuse the NPCs, but so much.
I try not. I try not to jump to this at every opportunity because I think that would be cheese. But there's a lot of money on the table, I guess. Okay, so let me see here. Stress. All right. Pushing.
3 successes. All right. So what what I will let you do? This is going to be a little weird. What I will let you do is I will let you basically get 3 items for free with 3 successes, which it seems to stand to reason you would probably want the 3 most expensive items free, right?
Sure, that sounds logical.
Yeah, so that would be the power loader, that would be the tracker, and that would be one of the sentry guns. So your total out of pocket is for everything with her help is 42,250, and you guys have 166, 155, which leaves you 123,905. So
Perfect. Thank you.
glad I could be of help. And in the next few days, we should all get back together. In fact, why don't you come up to the office 11 a.m. 3 days from now, and we can start to review everything we've got in front of us. So,
When does she want us to meet with the pilot candidate here?
you guys can handle that whenever. I think Blake set that for a couple days out, so probably right after your arm gets fixed.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So I've got a question. This is a question for the players to decide. Is the idea to hire the pilot under SSI or to hire the pilot under SS Magellan?
I would say it's under SS Magellan, but that's just my first thought. And the reason for me saying that is I prefer to have crew members whose loyalty is to the crew.
Okay,
You know,
that's fine. I was just
Blake is
getting a
kind of the.
clarification on my part in terms of who's doing the actual hiring and paying the salary.
I mean, the rest of us are getting paid through Magellan,
That's true.
so I think. I mean, it. You know, let's put it this way: if it was another player, I would insist on that. But since it's an NPC, maybe it doesn't matter.
I got you. No, that works for me. That works for me. So you guys want to meet this pilot?
I think that's a good idea.
All right. So her name is, and I'm just going to share her with all players, just because it's easier that way. Except I hit something wrong. There we go. Should be in all players' journals and can be edited by all players. Tansy Annalise or Annalise. Um, so you guys should all be able to see her character sheet now. Just that way, whoever ends up rolling for her at some point.
Interesting name.
Hey, I asked the name generator for English/Irish first and surname, and that's what it gave me. Um, but so you guys go meet her back at the bar, I assume.
Sure.
Yeah, so because I made first contact, I'll show them where to meet him or meet her.
Okay. Um, Rudy, how are you disguising your different arm? I'm just curious.
I suppose it. I'm not clear on what it looks like actually. I mean, is it just like a different skin color, or is it like full on metal parts?
No, it's kind of like the arms of those synthetics in Aliens Fireteam Elite. Like for instance, when you watched the original Alien movie, it finally just got to the point where they just torched Ash's head, and it was just kind of left with that plain nondescript white endoskeleton. And that's pretty much what it looks like. So it's fully functional, but it doesn't look like real skin at all. It's just this plain white limb.
I
Looks probably
suppose
more like plastic or composite than anything.
she'll just have to wear long sleeves and a glove. Do like the Luke Skywalker.
The Luke
thing, I guess.
Skywalker, one black glove.
Yeah, one black glove. Yeah, make it rhinestones, and she could be like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like it. All right. So you're going to go meet the pilot. Is Blake Jones? Are you going with Rudy? Since you made first contact.
I kind of feel like the whole crew should go for this.
Oh,
No,
that's fine.
Yeah, so yeah, since I made first contact, I'm definitely going with.
All right. Yeah, the whole crew can go. Absolutely.
Group group
I,
interrogation.
Dwayne doesn't see any need to go. He's staying.
All right.
Are you sure? Have you seen her character portrait? Checks out character sheet.
I know, I
Remember,
know, I know we have to do it, but I'm not. I can't stomach replacing Max.
He's still in mourning. That's cool.
All
He
right.
was
We'll
special.
go take care of it.
All right. So you you basically find her where you left her, Blake. Uh, she's back in that booth. The bartender sees you walking in, and he kind of sighs with relief and says, "Are you here to collect her? Because she's out of money." So
Yes, yes, we are here.
he says, "All right." She's got a tab still. I let her
I'll
go a
take care
little.
of that.
All right, that fair enough. He goes, "Thanks. It's not much. It's just $3,000. No, it's probably $27 or something."
Yeah, right.
She there's a couple empty glasses in front of her, but she looks pretty alert. If if she did in fact run out of money here recently, she probably hasn't been drinking in a little while. So she's probably not not quite as buzzed as what she was when you saw her the first time. You imagine the previous day or two probably got pretty probably got pretty low for her at some point.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. So I,
Um,
walk up with, I guess it's going to be Rudy and Dwayne's not there. So is it just, is
just
Jake coming
Jake.
along too?
Yeah,
So Jake and Rudy.
yeah, because
And
Roman's at or Mitchell's getting treated right now. So
so I walk up and I say, hello, Tansy. Tansy, right? Let's see,
Tansy.
where's her name?
Yep.
Hello, Tansy. This is Captain Annika Rudat and Jake Sinclair from the SS Magellan. Um, can we sit down?
She says absolutely. She's kind of giving Jake a little bit of a side eye as
Hmm.
as you sit down, and she says she looks at Rudy and says, "So you're the captain of the ship that needs a pilot."
That's right.
She said, "Well, I'm a pilot, and I got nowhere to go and nothing to do at this point. So if you're offering a job, I'm interested."
I will point to the various glasses, empty glasses, and the bottle of booze, and I said, "Is this going to be a problem?"
No, no, it's not a problem. I just drink a lot, but it's not a problem. I don't drink when I fly. I just know how to have a good time when I'm not flying.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, there's a couple things that have to be put out on the table right away if you're going to work with us. And the first thing is that you need to know that what we're up to is extremely dangerous. Our last mission, we lost. How many people we lose? Three, two, three,
Too. Well,
two,
not
and
counting all the
not counting our backup.
yeah, yeah. She she kind of cuts her eyes over at Blake and says, "Was the was your pilot one of those?"
He was,
Mm.
and he was a good man, and those are some pretty big shoes to fill.
She says, "I don't have any trouble filling men's shoes. Men's feet tend to be a lot smaller than what they claim, among other things."
Well, and they're also not heels, are they?
No, I promise my boots are as big as anybody's.
Well, where we're going, you definitely won't be wearing heels. How are you with the sidearm?
Pretty handy. Pretty handy. I'm a good shot. I'm from the frontier. You have to be a good shot on the frontier.
You know, as long as you remember this conversation and you accept this contract with your eyes open. Uh, I guess the last thing I need to know is how you feel about working with synthetics.
She That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. I'm going to do a random die roll, even versus odd. Yeah, okay. She kind of shrugs and says, doesn't matter. They're people, just like other people, I guess. I don't really know what to think of them. I didn't run into many of them on the frontier. My 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 last ship, we had a synthetic who handled most of the maintenance. Seemed like an okay guy.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because Dr. Sinclair here is a full-on robot. I mean, you would have found out eventually. He's kind of
Exterminate.
quirky.
Exterminate. And I take a sip of whiskey.
She looks at that and says, "Careful, it doesn't rust your insides, Doctor." She says, "All right, what's the pay?"
I don't know. What was Max getting paid?
Um,
I guess it's shares, right? We're offering shares.
yeah, because
Is that how this works?
you guys weren't on salary. You guys were just kind of splitting everything evenly. There's actually a guideline in the book for that. If you give me 1 second, I will pull it out. I believe if you're not offering shares of ownership, I believe that a pilot typically makes like $500 a week.
Well, okay. So, I mean, this is clearly your um, purview here, Marty. But if this is basically a seat for like if one of our players comes back, like comes back, or we get a new player or something like that,
Sure.
are they going to play this character? Because if so, then that would be like a shares thing. But if we're just straight up hiring an NPC, then I think it should be probably like a wage because they're not that important, and we might take on another player later. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's
so I mean, how do you want us to do
let's
this?
just handle it as a wage for now, and then if we do pick up another player, or if Jesse comes back and wants to play this character, you guys can have an in-game conversation about making the character a partner or something like that. How about we do that, if that
Good
works?
enough. Yeah, I think that's good enough for now for sure.
All right, perfect. All right, she says, "Well, I guess I'm in for the job then."
And can I just say something out of game?
Sure.
Um, I I feel like this is almost we'd have to do a better job of prepping like somebody that we hired, because once they come on our team and they know what we know, there's no leaving.
Yeah, right.
So I kind of I'm having an ethical problem here with this whole thing, because if it was real life, I'd be like, look,
Yeah,
there's no turning back.
Yeah.
If you sign up with us,
yeah. Shit's about to
that's
get
it.
fucked up.
Shit's about to get real. And I mean, I guess we should just tell her that, right? Like, all right, look, man, we're up to some really sensitive shit here, and if you come on board with us, it's a long-term thing. You can't just leave. You're with it until it's done.
I mean, if there's hazard pay, it's a job. I'm in.
All right, done. Shake her hand.
All right. All right. So you have yourselves a pilot. Um, so unless anybody has anything else to add, we can.
What do I know of? What is one of the things that Dwayne enjoys, like in his downtime?
It's a good question.
Does he like books? Does he like old movies? Does he like food?
Long walks in the park.
Does he like donuts?
Dwayne?
Yeah.
No, doesn't like donuts.
What does Dwayne like?
Dwayne likes movies, and he likes reading technical manuals.
That's a lot of fun.
Like what kind of movies? Westerns?
You like gladiator movies, Jimmy?
Gladiator movies?
That's fine.
Anyway, I'll tell her. If she has any old movies on DVD, she should bring them with.
It's really old.
Make a good first impression on the ship's engineer. She's gonna need it.
Yeah, Dwayne's probably not going to be too friendly towards her at first, I imagine. Replacing his buddy.
Donuts would have been better, but he's not into that.
All right. Well, shall we move forward a couple days?
Works for me.
All right. So you guys have a meeting with Rose at 11 a.m. Earth Standard Time in a few days. When you guys arrive at SSI, there's the interior of like the lobby downstairs. The whole building is decorated. There's wreaths on. It's December 11th. There's wreaths on doors, and there's holly, and there's like reproduction pine trees with colored lights and things hanging on them. And Blake, Mr. Verhoeven has a thing for Christmas, and he probably spends a no small amount of money decorating for Christmas every year, even though not many people celebrate it much anymore.
Right.
As you guys head back to the top floor where Rose's office is, she meets you guys in the lobby. Captain Rudy, you and your crew, everyone doing well today?
Yeah, I think so.
And I should have said, I'm sorry, Dr. Mitchell Roman is there. He is feeling much better. The kind of the prognosis on that is he's going to feel pretty good probably for a while, at least a few months before the treatment starts to wear off. But in the meantime, he's going to be okay for a little while at least. She says, "Well, I'm glad we're making some headway. Um, there was a lot of data on those hard drives, but and I'm waiting for Mr. Verhoeven to arrive from a negotiation to review some opportunities to advance our work with him." And just as she says that, the elevator, the lift doors open, and Verhoeven actually comes out of the elevator. He's wearing khaki slacks and a short sleeve collar shirt. He's got an antique leather golf bag slung over his shoulder. And he sets it down roughly, he almost throws it really up against the reception desk in that upstairs lobby. And he says, "As if it isn't hard enough to find time when it isn't raining around here, I'm still no damn good at this game." We have further complications. The Independent Core Systems Colonies has declared war on the United Americas.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big deal. What made this happen?
Apparently, some happenings at a colony called Hasanova, and Rose nods and she says, "Yes, it's forgot about that. Rose, she's nodding. She goes, "Yes, it's an Iranian colony. They have a huge data center there. They actually bought the colony from Wayland Yutani some years ago, but it's a giant data processing center." Um, Verhoeven says, "I don't have a lot of details. They're sketchy. The Iranians have their own side of the story. The USCMC had a platoon on site, apparently, and supposedly caused massive damage and eliminated a number of civilians. Loss of Iranian citizens, as well as some private UA contractors that were there doing data work." Rose just kind of, she's like, what kind of, how would they declare war on the UA? Sanctions? War of economics? The ACSC has no cohesive military. Um, Still, this might pose an opportunity. And she, Verhoeven's just kind of looking at her, and she says, "Well, I need some time. I've managed to collect some interesting information, but there are some holes. I need more time going through all this data." And Verhoeven says, "Well, you have until tomorrow, 8 a.m. Earth Standard Time. USS Cronulla is on its way to Grendel. She'll be here in 6 days. She's a USCMC ship." And to that, Rose looks probably right at Jake, and Mitchell, because you two are the two electronics wizards. She says, then I need some help."
Sure, whatever you need.
All right. Well, I think that's a decent spot to stop. What do you guys think?
Works for me.
Sure. We're going to war, guys.
Balloon went up.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the other one, the other game, the Conan game, let me. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me. There we go. Copy link address. Has everybody had an invite to the Conan game? I think maybe everyone, but Thermo is joined up with it. Let me see here. Yeah. So there's the link if you need it. You guys can just follow that.
Okay.
I'll meet you guys over there, and we'll look at how that works a little bit.
Sounds good. Meet
All
you
right.
there.
Cool. The session was a lot of accounting. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens on these long campaigns. You got to get to that point.
It's all good. It had to happen.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to pause this.